Zealand's Polynesians, the Maoris, normally peace-loving, war dance against the Axis. New Zealand's army trains new Maori troops. Thousands have already fought with the British 8th Army in Libya and Tunisia. And the Maoris, in their native fashion of warfare, are enough to give Hitler and company bad dreams.
Welcome back to Bridges Over History, where myth meets metal. Today we're tackling one of the most infamous machines of World War II. A tank so bizarre, so uniquely absurd, that it's become the punchline of military hardware jokes worldwide. But was the Bob Semple tank really just a tin can on treads? Or was there more to the madness? It's the early 1940s. Japan is on the move across the Pacific, cutting through territory like a hot knife through butter. With the fall of Singapore and threats looming toward Australia, New Zealand suddenly found itself terrifyingly exposed. Though it shared strong ties with Britain and had Australia as a neighbor, it was still logistically isolated, lacking the industrial capacity of either. Most of its able-bodied fighting men were already overseas, serving in North Africa, Greece, and Crete. If the Japanese invaded, who would stop them? There was no time to import tanks. They were going to European fronts or more strategic colonies. Britain was burdened with its own survival, and it couldn't help. The United States wasn't fully in the war yet. New Zealand was on its own. Enter Bob Semple, Minister of Public Works, a man with no military background, but plenty of resolve. Facing public fear and the reality of a home front without armor, Semple spearheaded the idea of designing and constructing a tank domestically. It didn't matter that New Zealand had no tank factories, or engineers with armored vehicle experience, or armor plating. Instead, they used what they had: bulldozers and corrugated iron, specifically the Caterpillar D8 tractor, a rugged civilian machine. The initial plans were based on nothing more than rough sketches and even a tourist postcard of a tank. The idea was fast and dirty. Build something, anything, that could patrol the coastline and give the appearance of strength. The Bob Semple was a tank built around the Caterpillar D8's chassis. On top of it, a riveted iron shell, not steel armor. Instead of cannons, they used Bren light machine guns stuffed into slits hastily cut into the armor plating. And yes, it did have a turret mounted high on the hull with additional Bren guns for fire all around. Its armament included 6 Bren light machine guns, including the one in the turret. Its armor was corrugated iron sheets, 6 to 12 millimeters max, an engine of 95 horsepower from the diesel Caterpillar D8. Its crew, 6 to 8. Speed was roughly 15 miles an hour. The turret had limited traverse and required the entire tank to reposition for more accurate aiming. The crew had no gun sights. Aiming was done visually, or just by sheer hope. The crew inside couldn't hear each other over the engine, leading to chaos. There was no interior ventilation. Visibility was practically zero. It looked like a rolling outhouse more than a modern tank. But what went wrong? Where do we begin? The Bob Semple was an absolute unit, and not in a good way. At over 12 feet tall, it was a massive target. Its armor was so thin and poorly placed that even small arms fire might have penetrated it. The engine, already taxed by the bulldozer's weight, now had to haul around tons of added plating, making the tank painfully slow. The weapon layout made tactical sense, I guess. The height and bulk made it a top-heavy and unstable platform, and with a poorly rotating turret, it couldn't react quickly to threats. It was a tank in shape, but functionally was more of a mobile bunker, and one made of sand at that. But here's the thing. It wasn't entirely about combat effectiveness. The Bob Semple tank was a morale project. It showed the public that the government was taking action, and that New Zealand would not go down without a fight. In a way, it was a psychological weapon. No one expected it to beat a Japanese tank in a slugfest, but its looming presence might deter a landing force. Just the sight of tanks rolling through towns during demonstrations gave people hope. In many ways, the Bob Semple was a rolling symbol of resistance. Flawed, but fearless. Across the Tasman Sea, Australia had similar fears, but unlike New Zealand, Australia had access to more raw materials and British support. They developed the Sentinel AC-1 cruiser tank, a fully armored and properly armed vehicle with a 2-pounder cannon, cast hull, and comparable specs to early British tanks. Its armament was a 2-pounder or a 40mm gun. Its armor up to 65mm. Speed roughly 30 miles an hour. The Sentinel was the only tank entirely designed and built in Australia during the war. This comparison only amplified the Bob Semple's infamy. But keep in mind, Australia had industrial centers, British design input. New Zealand had tractors and guts. Only a few Bob Semples were ever made. None were deployed in combat, and all were eventually dismantled. But the legend lived on. It's appeared in video games, memes, and military history circles as a cautionary tale or a comedic icon. Yet, under all the rust and ridicule, lies a simple truth. The Bob Semple tank represents a nation's desperate attempt to prepare for the unthinkable. It was never meant to win battles. It was built to buy time, boost spirits, and show determination. So the next time someone mocks the Bob Semple, remind them, it wasn't supposed to win a war. It was meant to show the world and the enemy that New Zealand wouldn't go down without a fight. Thanks for watching Bridges Over History. Like, comment, and subscribe for more strange, forgotten, and unbelievable stories from the battlefield. And leave a comment on what vehicle you'd like covered next. This vehicle was actually requested by a viewer like yourself. So make sure to leave that comment. And thanks for watching.